I thought was interesting, and it relates to the keys, is the fact that she had the one handkerchief with her. Now, again, it doesn't indicate where that was. And I'm wondering if that's the handkerchief that she typically wrapped her keys in because she didn't want to get the lubricant that was on the keys, the graphite that her husband put in the key locks. She didn't want to get it all over her fingers because it smelled. So I just wonder, is there any information about that, whether or not that was the same handkerchief that she wrapped her keys in typically?
We don't have any other information about it. In fact, I had missed that until I was reanalyzing the autopsy report. I had read that earlier, but when I read about the handkerchief the first time, I didn't know the significance of the handkerchief at the time, so I'd missed it. So all we have is the ME's report that says that they found the handkerchief on her, but like you said, that could have been in a pocket in her hand on the ground. We have no idea. And we also don't know if it was in fact the handkerchief she would carry her keys in.
So they didn't cover that in the trial then?
No, they did not.
Apparently you're not the only one that missed it because, obviously that's something that the prosecutor should have asked the husband about. So if you do have an opportunity to talk to the husband or her son, you could maybe ask him if he knows what handkerchief she carried the keys in. Can he describe it? And then also, did she typically carry a second handkerchief or not?
What we do know about the handkerchief was that it was always a white handkerchief. She had a series of them. They all had, black stains all over them. And he kind of beat around the bush with it, not intentionally, but it's hard to get. What I got out of her husband's trial testimony was that one of the handkerchiefs that she used for the keys was missing, but he did not come right out and say that.
Okay. Well, I just don't know why the prosecutor wouldn't show the handkerchief that was recovered and ask him to identify it.
When we're all done with this and I can tell you the rest of this case, there's going to be a lot of things that you're shocked about.
Okay. Well, then can you make a list of things that need to be done? And one of them is see if they still have that handkerchief in evidence and test whether or not there's any other foreign DNA on it, or blood or anything like that.
Absolutely. Mike's writing it down right now in my notes.
And while we're at it, if they still have the keys, that would be a great thing to do as well, to test them for foreign DNA and blood or any other substances.
Right.
So can you describe the key ring for me and how many keys were on it or anything like that?
So from what we know at trial, there were several keys on a ring, and the keychain was a big K for Kiao's first name. But we don't know exactly how many keys or, how big of a wad of keys it was, just that there were multiple keys on it and that it was on just a ring with a keychain with a K. Okay. And did you get a chance to go and check out, I saw the picture you sent me of the house and the mailbox to the right of the front door. Seemed like it was about, 4.5, 5 feet high. Is that accurate? It is. I actually had, thanks to you, a very awkward encounter with the man that lives in that house a couple of days ago. But I asked him if I could just look at his mailbox, and I explained to him why. I don't think he spoke very good English, so he let me do it. And after doing that, I don't see how there really could be any possibility that someone couldn't see in it. So I'm 6'1", and I stood next to just where you would be in front of the door and opened the lid to the mailbox, and I could see straight down into the entire bottom of the mailbox. Furthermore, I did some research on Kirby, and Kirby seems to be about my height, possibly a little taller. I don't have an exact measurement, but I have several photos of him, and he looks to be 6'1" or 6'2".
Okay. And how about Kenneth?
I do not have any photos of Kenneth and no information on how tall he was. But Kirby was the one that actually found the keys, and we don't know who was checking the mailbox the days prior to that.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess, something I read, I thought I read that the father, Kenneth, had checked it every day, and that this one day Kirby checked and he found the keys in it. And it was 11 days after her death?
Right. It was 11 days after the death. He never specifically said that he was the one that checked the mail every day. He just said that they had checked the mail every day since the murder, and Kirby happened to be the one that found it that day. He didn't say that that's the only day that Kirby checked it, so we don't really know. if Kirby had checked it on other days. But we just know that Kirby checked it that particular day when they found the keys.
Well, I know that there was some testimony that Kenneth had said that the keys mysteriously appeared, but actually that was a leading question. He was asked when they mysteriously appeared. He wasn't asked in a generic way, did there come a time when he ever saw the keys again? And then he answered they mysteriously appeared. So I don't know how he would have described it if you actually asked him, but it does beg the question whether or not if he looked before, then it matters, because if this is the first opportunity for them to be there, that means one thing. If it could have been put there shortly after or concurrent with the crime, then that's a wholly different thing. But it sounds like the weight of the evidence is, at least from what we know, that the keys were not in there until 11 days later.
That's been my assessment. Of course, I can't say that for certain, but I agree that the evidence seems to indicate that.
All right. Can you tell me about I know this neighborhood has gone downhill and so forth over the years, and at this time it was pretty rough. Can you tell me about what the crime issues were there? Drug, gangs, anything in particular at the time of this murder?
The stat that I read was that 1991, the year this happened, just so happened to be the highest amount of murders in South Dallas ever. I think the report I read was from like 2008, but it said there was over 500 murders in South Dallas that year. I know that in that particular neighborhood, there was a murder in the apartment complex just right across the street that turned out to be a kid beat his grandma to death with a hammer in her apartment. And then there was another stabbing murder of a woman a few blocks away that happened almost a month the day after this offense. The neighbor. All right, well, let's not, yeah, okay. Let's not go into that one at this point, but it's interesting to know, okay? And then with respect to just want to make sure, one more question about the handkerchief. Can you also find out, if it's possible, where the handkerchief was recovered? Because if I recall correctly, she would wrap the keys in a handkerchief and hold it in her hand while she walked. Right.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so the question is whether or not that handkerchief was recovered on or near the body, or whether it was in one of her pockets and so forth. So if you can find out that piece of information as well.
Yeah, I can try, but I don't know where else to look. I've checked out the forensic examiner's testimony, the medical examiner's testimony, and all of the notes and the investigative notes. And I know that when the forensic examiner testified, he testified that all of the evidence came in one bag, and there were some other items they were referring to, and he just said that I have even like hairs and things. They just said they were on her body. They don't know. And he specifically said, I have no idea if they were in her pocket, on her clothes, if she was wearing them, if they were found near her. I have no idea. So he didn't know back then. So I don't know where I'm going to keep trying to figure that out. But
here's the thing. My reading of it was that when the cops were arriving, the EMTs were loading her onto the ambulance, right?
Correct.
So if it wasn't on her person at that time, I would find it hard to believe that a cop would take it from the scene and then bring it to the hospital and put it with her. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think it had to be, my guess, and it's a guess, would be that it was in a pocket or clutched in one of her hands.
Right. So I think that is something that the investigating officers, they're no longer alive, or they're no longer around. Do you know?
I think one of them has passed away, but one of them is still alive. I haven't been able to track him down yet.
Well, but you're Bob Ruff, so I'm sure you will track him down.
Right. We'll find him.
Yes, I know you will. Okay. Well, that's all good information. From what I can tell, the neighbor called 911 around 7:30-ish.
Right.
Okay. Do you have the 911 tape?
I don't. I have an open records request in with the Dallas PD. I already filed one and received the information from the prosecutor's office, and they didn't have it. The Dallas PD request was supposed to have been in a couple weeks ago. I haven't received it yet, but I've specifically asked for the 911 tape, so I'm hoping I'll get it from them.
Okay. Do you know when Kiao typically ate breakfast?
I don't.
That would be another question for her son if you do get to talk to him. So he was 18, just graduated from high school, kind of sleeping in late. Is that what it was?
Right. Yeah. He was about a month away from starting college, and according to his dad, he liked to sleep in the summer.
Right. And so did he get informed at home? Was he notified at home?
He was. He didn't find out for about 4 hours after Kia was found that she had passed away, but he was at home.
All right. Well, I think that was all the questions I have right up front.
Today's episode is sponsored in part by Harry's Razors. Mike, your face is looking especially smooth this morning.
I think we both know why, Bobby.
You must have shaved with your Harry's razor.
We both know I did. You know Harry's is the only razor I use.
So I've talked a lot about why I love my Harry's razors. We've heard about why Becky loves the Harry's razors. What's your favorite part about Harry's?
Well, dude, their blades last forever, and that shave gel makes their blades glide across my face.
It's exactly why I like Harry's. That and that post-shave balm that smells delicious. So listen up, people. Like I've said before, every one of you out there shaves. And if you're going to the drugstore and paying $4 a blade for razors that aren't going to last half as long, you're just throwing money away. So here's the deal. Harry's was started by two guys, Jeff and Andy, who were fed up with being overcharged for razors. So they decided to start their own razor company to give guys and gals everywhere what they deserve, a great shave at a fair price. So they bought a factory with 100 years of blade making experience so they could make their own high quality razors, sell them online, and ship them directly to you for half the price of the leading brand. Harry's razors include everything you need for a close, comfortable shave. 5 German engineered blades, lubricating strip, flex hinge for a comfortable glide, a weighted ergonomic handle, and even a trimmer blade for those hard to reach places.
What's the trimmer blade?
You didn't even know it was there, did you?
No, I didn't.
So you know on the side of the blade that you actually shave with, there's those 5 blades? But if you flip the blade over, there's a single blade that I use to trim up the edges of my beard.
Mind blown. That's it, I'm growing a beard.
Well, good luck with that. But for all of you listening, you can get all of this for $2 a blade. That's compared to $4 or more you'll pay at the drugstore. And Harry's is so confident in the quality of their blades, they want you to try their most popular trial set for free. The trial set comes with a free razor handle of your choice, a 5-blade cartridge, and shaving gel. Free when you sign up. Just pay a small fee for shipping. So, just to make that clear, your choices are go to the drugstore, pay $4 a blade for an inferior razor, or go to harrys.com and have them send you better razors for free to try them out. And they'll send you shave gel along with it. Doesn't quite take a rocket scientist to know that this is probably something worth checking out. So to redeem your free trial offer, just go to harrys.com/justice right now. That's harrys.com/justice.
Let me just see if there's anything else. So we believe she went out for a walk around 7 a.m. We don't know which way she went around the school, but typically she would walk around the school. Kenneth left the house around 6:10 a.m. and arrived at 6:20 at work.
Right.
And we don't think she went out till about 7 a.m. that she typically worked on her Soloplex and then would go out for her walk.
Right.
Okay. So what can you tell me about Kirby? What else can you tell me about him?
I've been trying to gather a lot of information about him, and I haven't had a whole lot of success. What I have discovered is that from the few people I've talked to that, and this is through, a listener who has a cousin who went to school with him, that he was a generally nice kid, very, very smart kid, never seemed to be in any kind of trouble, and apparently sleeps in the summers. And as of right now, that's all I know about him as a kid.
Okay. So the issue of the keys, one of the things that strikes me is that there may be some indicator of remorse, but it could very well be that somebody found these keys and knew that they were missing. Did the police ever say that they were looking for keys? Was this something that was ever released to the public?
Not in any of the newspaper articles that I've been able to dig up. There's nothing ever mentioned about the keys.
Of course, with the big K, obviously it would have been known that she had been killed, right? And it could have been that somebody recognized that, or somebody who knew her recognized that but didn't want to get involved.
It could be, but there is a point about that I don't think I've shared with you yet, because I think I learned about it after I sent you this. When Kenneth was testifying at